Although old vine heritage is really at the apex of everything that we find most joyous about wine, you know, the deepest kind of cultural, traditional heritage, terroir, quality and nuance are all packaged up in what old vines and heritage vineyards are all about. They're championed by some vibrant producers and wonderful writers. They are championed even by regional organizations who've come together to work together to promote and protect their old vine vineyards. And yet there's a problem, and the problem is that old vineyards, even really good old vineyards, are under threat and they are being lost. We heard yesterday how they're being lost in Spain, in Portugal, how there are structures that mitigate against the protection of old vineyards and the retention of old vineyards. One of the problems is actually that the consumers don't value them. There isn't the sense of like an old vine category. It's not meaningful. And one of our aims is to start to change that. Another of our aims is actually that we can help the viability of great old vineyards by improving knowledge about how to cultivate them, and knowledge also of how to manage commercial relationships, because a lot of great old vine fruit is not owned by makers, but actually by growers. And a lot of those growers are unable to market their own wine, and their great old vine fruit disappears into mass market blends, which is fair enough. But we heard yesterday from the South African Old Vine Project how lives have been transformed by giving great old vine fruit the respect and the attention it deserves. So we've put together this program really as an initial program. We want to raise the profile and the attention for the priceless heritage of good old vines. And we also want to start connecting people so that on issues such as how to cultivate old vines, how to plant vines that can live for a lifetime and not just for 2 decades, how to work together to market old vines and actually to make old vine wine like a category of great value and significance in the market, to actually change the economics of old vines. So that's why we're here today. It goes beyond today. We have bigger plans, which we will talk about at the end. But in the meantime, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Jamie Good. Hello, Jamie, a friend and colleague, and a great advocate for, I'd say, wines that are rich in heritage. But Jamie, as a scientist and as a very savvy commentator on the wine market, knows that we can't be sentimental about old vines. They must earn their place. And so it's great to have Jamie here. We have a panel that I'm delighted to have brought together. So Marco Simonit of Simonit & Seerch is an advocate and a reviser of pruning methods so that we can actually no longer plant vines that we know we're going to need to replant in 20 years, but actually to work with the natural flow and the physiology of vines to keep them healthy and productive for life. And Marco works with great producers all over the world to achieve that. We then are speaking with Dan Miller, who is a founder of a business called Go Steward, who works in the regenerative agricultural sector. We think wine has got a lot to learn from the regenerative agriculture movement, especially around old vine heritage, because they're inherently regeneratively agricultural projects. And then we are also speaking to Tiago Macena from Portugal, who is involved in the recuperation, restoration of really old vines in Portugal. And he's also familiar with the projects that are going on in Portugal to collectively start to protect and define their old vine vineyards. And then finally, we're speaking with Stuart Spencer of Lodi, and the Lodi Grape Growers Association has founded Save the Old, which is a really engaging consumer campaign to promote their old vine vineyards.